First contact and betrayal. Commander Sarah Chen stood motionless on the observation deck of the ISS Resilient, watching as the massive alien vessel eclipsed Earth's sun. 15 kilometers of gleaming metal and exotic materials, it had appeared at the edge of the solar system 3 days ago, broadcasting peaceful intentions in over 50 Earth languages. The first contact humanity had dreamed of for centuries had finally arrived. "What do you think they want?" asked Dr. James Okafor, the mission's chief xenolinguist, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah kept her eyes fixed on the vessel. "Everyone wants something, Doctor. Let's just hope what they want isn't us." The Galactic Concordat, as they called themselves, claimed to represent over 30 spacefaring civilizations spanning 3 spiral arms of the Milky Way. They offered friendship, knowledge, and technology beyond human imagination. Their ambassadors, tall, slender beings with iridescent skin and 4 arms, spoke of peace and cooperation, of humanity joining a grand alliance of intelligent species. Within months, Earth had been transformed. Concordat technology eliminated energy scarcity, cured previously untreatable diseases, and offered solutions to climate deterioration. Humanity celebrated its new cosmic friends, and governments worldwide signed treaties of cooperation and mutual defense. The United Earth Alliance was formed to manage relations with the Concordat, with Commander Chen appointed as chief military liaison. But Sarah never fully trusted their new allies. Something in their too-perfect demeanor, their carefully measured responses to certain questions, triggered the instincts that had kept her alive through 3 wars on Earth. "They're hiding something," she told General Williams during a secure briefing 6 months after first contact. "They share technology freely, but never weapons. They discuss their history, but never their conflicts. Something doesn't add up." "Paranoia doesn't become you, Commander," Williams replied, though his eyes revealed similar concerns. "But I authorized Project Midnight. Deep space monitoring stations beyond Concordat knowledge. If they're hiding something, we'll find it." 3 months later, they did. A junior analyst at Midnight Station Beta, orbiting a distant Kuiper Gult object, detected encrypted transmissions between the Concordat flagship and unknown destinations beyond the solar system. After weeks of work, the encryption was partially broken, revealing fragments of their true intentions. Human adaptability makes them ideal. Genetic structure compatible with augmentation protocols. Combat potential exceeds Class 4 species. Once integrated, will provide valuable additions to the Concordat military caste. Recommend proceeding with assimilation within 1 solar cycle. Sarah stood in the Emergency Security Council chamber as the implications became clear. The Concordat didn't want allies. They wanted soldiers, possibly slaves. Humanity's warlike history, which the aliens had claimed to find distasteful, was precisely what made them valuable. "We need to confront them with this evidence," suggested the European Union representative. "And if they deny it, or worse, decide to accelerate their timeline," Sarah countered, "we need to prepare for the worst while maintaining the appearance of ignorance." The Council agreed. Operation Aegis began, a desperate plan to prepare for possible conflict while continuing diplomatic relations. Military installations were hardened and hidden. Key personnel and resources were moved to secure facilities beneath the lunar surface and deep within Earth's crust. Civilian evacuation protocols were quietly updated. For 10 weeks, humanity prepared in secret. Then the Concordat's mask slipped. A Concordat science vessel requested permission to conduct atmospheric sampling at 12 points around Earth's equator. Analysis by Project Midnight revealed the proposed coordinates aligned perfectly with Earth's most populated cities. Further investigation uncovered microscopic machines and technology previously gifted by the aliens, dormant now, but capable of unknown functions if activated remotely. Sarah was meeting with her team when the first attack came without warning. The Concordat flagship, still in orbit, unleashed a barrage of energy weapons targeting military installations globally. Simultaneously, the dormant machines and alien technology activated, releasing nanoscale agents that targeted critical infrastructure. Power grids failed worldwide. Communication networks collapsed. Defense systems went offline. "They're softening us up," Sarah realized as reports flooded in. "This isn't an extermination, it's subjugation." The Security Council authorized immediate counterattack using the limited weapons humanity had managed to develop by reverse engineering Concordat technology. The results were devastating, but not to the aliens. Earth's most powerful weapons barely scratched the Concordat vessels. The flagship responded by deploying smaller craft that began precision strikes against remaining military targets. Within hours, organized resistance had crumbled. The Security Council itself was destroyed in a direct hit on the underground facility in Geneva. Sarah, who had been en route to a secondary command center, found herself the highest-ranking military official still in communication with global forces. "All units, this is Commander Chen. Implement Lazarus Protocol. I repeat, implement Lazarus Protocol." Across the planet, and throughout the solar system, the remnants of Earth's forces acknowledged and went dark, disappearing into pre-established hiding places, not to surrender, but to survive and regroup. It was a strategy as old as warfare itself: when outmatched, become invisible. For 3 days, the Concordat bombarded Earth's military bases, government centers, and infrastructure. Cities burned. Millions died. Then, as suddenly as it began, the attack stopped. The alien ships took up positions around the planet, and a transmission was broadcast globally. "People of Earth, your resistance has failed. The Concordat offers you peace through submission. Genetic compatibility testing will begin immediately. Those deemed suitable will serve in the Concordat Defense Forces. Those unsuitable will provide labor and resources. Resistance will result in planetary sterilization." From her makeshift command center in an abandoned mining facility beneath the Australian outback, Sarah watched the broadcast with cold fury. Around her, the surviving members of her team awaited orders. "They think we're beaten," she said finally. "They think this is over." She turned to Dr. Eliza Kaminsky, the brilliant physicist who had been studying Concordat technology. "Tell me about Project Nemesis." Eliza pulled up schematics on a battered display. "It's theoretical, based on what we've learned about their faster-than-light technology. The Concordat uses artificial microwormholes for propulsion and communication. We've discovered they're unstable under certain conditions. Can we weaponize that instability?" Eliza hesitated. "Possibly. Their entire technology base relies on manipulating dimensional boundaries. If we could disrupt those boundaries at a fundamental level." "How long?" "With the resources we've hidden, 6 months, minimum." Sarah nodded. "You have 4. For the next 4 months, humanity endured. On the surface, people submitted to Concordat rule. Registration centers processed millions daily, categorizing humans by genetic markers and physical capabilities. Those selected for military integration were taken to orbital facilities. They never returned. Beneath the surface, literally and figuratively, resistance grew. The Lazarus Protocol connected hidden military cells with civilian scientists and engineers. Resources were pooled. Intelligence was gathered. Small victories were won through sabotage and misinformation. The Concordat, accustomed to swift conquests of less adaptable species, failed to understand human tenacity. They didn't recognize the significance when key components went missing from their facilities. They didn't detect the pattern in seemingly random equipment failures. They didn't notice when communication protocols were subtly compromised. Most importantly, they didn't discover the network of laboratories where Project Nemesis took shape. "It's ready," Eliza announced exactly 4 months after the occupation began. She gestured to a device no larger than a suitcase. "The dimensional resonance disruptor. It targets the specific subspace frequency the Concordat technology operates on." "What's the range?" Sarah asked. "That's the problem. It's limited, maybe a kilometer. But once it activates, it creates a cascading effect through any connected Concordat systems. Their technology is all networked. Sarah studied the device, so we need to get it onto their flagship. Ideally, yes, but their security. We'll be expecting resistance from outside, not from within. Sarah activated a secure channel. Lieutenant Harper, is your team in position? A voice crackled through the speaker. Yes, Commander. We're embedded with the latest group selected for military integration. Processing begins tomorrow. The package will be delivered tonight. You know what to do. As darkness fell over what had once been Sydney, a nondescript cargo container was loaded onto a Concordat shuttle. Inside, nestled among genetic testing equipment, sat Project Nemesis. Above, the massive Concordat flagship waited, unsuspecting, as humanity prepared to teach them why underestimating Earth was their fatal mistake. The counterstrike and new galactic order. Lieutenant Maya Harper had never imagined infiltrating an alien starship, yet here she stood, one of 50 humans selected for military integration, being processed through the sterile corridors of the Concordat flagship. Her team, 12 Special Forces operatives with artificial genetic markers that had triggered the alien selection algorithms, moved with the same defeated shuffle as the genuine conscripts. The Nemesis device was hidden in components, distributed among their meager authorized belongings, designed to appear as primitive Earth technology that the aliens routinely ignored. Their captors, tall, multi-limbed beings with an air of bored superiority, herded them through checkpoints with casual indifference. Remember, Maya subvocalized through the neural implant connecting her team. We have one shot. Assembly point is level 38, maintenance sector J. Harper out. The humans were separated into evaluation groups. Maya's team had ensured they would be distributed across different sections, medical, tactical, engineering, maximizing their access to critical systems. Over the next 12 hours, they would make their way to the rendezvous point, carrying their pieces of humanity's last hope. Meanwhile, on Earth, Sarah Chen orchestrated the second phase of the operation. Throughout the occupied planet, hidden resistance cells prepared for coordinated strikes against Concordat ground forces. It would be a diversion, costly in human lives, but necessary to prevent the aliens from detecting the true threat aboard their command vessel. All units, commence Operation Trojan in 30 minutes, Sarah transmitted through the secure network. Remember, our goal isn't victory but distraction. Make them look down, not up. In her underground command center, Sarah studied the tactical display showing Concordat positions worldwide. The alien occupation force had grown complacent, their superior technology making them feel invulnerable. They had no concept of the desperate creativity that humans brought to warfare. Commander, her communications officer called. We've received the signal. Lieutenant Harper's team has reached the assembly point. Sarah checked the time. Right on schedule. Inform all units. Operation Trojan is now active. Across Earth, the resistance struck. In New York, improvised explosives detonated at Concordat checkpoints. In Beijing, saboteurs released modified electromagnetic pulses that temporarily disabled alien equipment. In Cairo, Buenos Aires, and Moscow, direct assaults targeted small outposts, drawing reinforcements from larger bases. The Concordat response was immediate and overwhelming. Their ground forces deployed with brutal efficiency, but found themselves facing an enemy that disappeared into tunnels, sewers, and buildings, only to emerge elsewhere. Human resistance fighters used their intimate knowledge of terrain to maximum advantage. Aboard the flagship, alarms blared as reports of the uprising reached the command center. The ship's commander, a veteran of 17 planetary subjugations, ordered additional forces to the surface. Primitive desperation. The commander dismissed when an aide suggested the attacks might be coordinated. Final defiance before acceptance. Increased suppression protocols. On level 38, Maintenance Sector J, Maya Harper and her team worked with practiced precision. The Nemesis device took shape as components were connected, each operator performing their assigned task despite the chaos erupting elsewhere on the ship. Final connections complete, reported Specialist Chong, initiating power-up sequence. Maya checked the small display. 4 minutes to activation. Synchronize with ground operations. The team transmitted the coded signal to Earth. Nemesis awakens. Then they sealed the maintenance sector doors and prepared for the inevitable security response. On Earth, Sarah received the transmission and immediately issued new orders. All units, execute Phase 2. Maximum engagement, then immediate dispersal. The resistance attacks intensified. Previously hidden heavy weapons were deployed against Concordat positions. Several alien shuttles were shot down using modified surface-to-air missiles. Communications jammers activated, temporarily isolating ground forces from orbital command. The Concordat commander grew concerned. This level of coordination suggested something beyond desperate resistance. Scan all frequencies, he ordered. Find their command structure. But it was already too late. Deep within the flagship, the Nemesis device activated. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, subtle distortions appeared around Concordat technology throughout the ship. Navigation systems reported impossible spatial readings. Power fluctuations cascaded through critical systems. Communication with ground forces fragmented into unintelligible noise. "What is happening?" demanded the commander. Unknown energy signature on level 38, reported a sensor operator, multiple limbs working frantically across control surfaces. It's affecting subspace fields, disrupting dimensional interfaces. Security teams to level 38. Neutralize whatever. The commander never finished the order. With a sound beyond hearing but felt in the bones of every being aboard, the fabric of space-time around the flagship rippled. Concordat technology relied on precise manipulation of dimensional boundaries, boundaries that were now becoming catastrophically unstable. Maya and her team had already taken refuge in an emergency pod. Ironically, one of the few systems not dependent on the dimensional technology now failing throughout the ship. Through the viewport, they watched as sections of the massive vessel simply ceased to exist, folding into dimensional vortices that consumed matter and energy alike. "Ejecting now," Maya announced, activating the pod's independent propulsion system. Nemesis is fully operational. The pod shot away from the disintegrating flagship, one of dozens escaping the destruction. Behind them, the cascading effect spread to nearby Concordat vessels connected through their network. One by one, ships vanished in bursts of multidimensional energy that defied conventional physics. On Earth, the effects were equally dramatic. Concordat ground forces suddenly found their weapons and communication devices transforming into miniature singularities that consumed everything within reach. Alien technology, from the largest installation to the smallest personal device, became a liability rather than an advantage. Within hours, the Concordat presence in the solar system had been reduced to scattered survivors, with no technological advantage over the humans they had sought to subjugate. Sarah Chen stood in the Australian sunshine for the first time in months, watching as the last visible traces of the Concordat flagship disappeared from the sky. Reports were coming in from around the world. Humanity had survived, bloodied but unbroken. "What happens now?" asked Dr. Kaminsky, joining her outside the bunker. "Now we rebuild," Sarah replied. "And prepare." Prepare they did. Using knowledge gained during the occupation, humanity advanced rapidly. The principles behind Concordat technology, now understood well enough to avoid the instabilities that Nemesis had exploited, were adapted and improved. Within 5 years, Earth had built its own interstellar vessels. Within 10, human colonies existed on 20 worlds across 3 star systems. And then, they encountered the wider galaxy. Sarah Chen, now Admiral of the United Earth Fleet, led the first diplomatic mission beyond human space. What they discovered shocked even her. The Galactic Concordat had been an empire spanning hundreds of worlds and dozens of species, all held together by technological superiority and fear. An empire that had collapsed utterly when their flagship and high command vanished, and their technology began failing across multiple star systems simultaneously. Most shocking was humanity's newfound reputation. Stories of Earth's resistance and the mysterious weapon that defeated the invincible Concordat had spread throughout the galaxy, growing with each retelling. Humans were described as ingenious demons who could turn an enemy's strength against them. Warriors who fought even when victory seemed impossible. Beings who understood the fabric of space-time itself. They were feared. They were respected. They were approached with caution by even the oldest spacefaring civilizations. They think we've mastered some fundamental cosmic principle, Sarah told her advisors after meeting representatives from a coalition of former Concordat subject worlds. They believe we could unmake reality if provoked. Should we correct these misconceptions? Asked the diplomatic officer. Sarah considered the question carefully. Humanity was still vulnerable despite its rapid advancement. Their population was a fraction of many galactic species. Their technology, while advancing quickly, remained decades behind some former Concordat members. No, she decided, but neither will we exploit them. We'll establish diplomatic relations based on mutual respect. We'll make it clear that humanity desires peace but will not tolerate aggression. The policy became known as the Chen Doctrine: peaceful cooperation with all, dominion over none, swift response to any threat. As human influence expanded, they discovered other species that had suffered under Concordat rule. Unlike their predecessors, humans offered genuine alliance rather than subjugation. A new interstellar coalition formed, the Galactic Cooperative, founded on principles of sovereign equality and mutual defense. Over decades, it grew to include most former Concordat worlds and many independent civilizations. Earth, once a backwater planet barely beginning its journey to the stars, became a central diplomatic hub. Yet the stories persisted. Across countless worlds, in the equivalent of bars and schools and homes, the tale was told of the primitive species that had defeated the mighty Concordat, of the mysterious weapon that unraveled space-time itself, of the fierce warriors who fought even when all hope seemed lost. 50 years after the occupation, Admiral Chen, now in her final advisory role before retirement, welcomed a delegation from a newly discovered civilization at the edge of explored space. Their representatives, insectoid beings with compound eyes and gleaming exoskeletons, approached with obvious trepidation. "We have heard of Earth," their leader began through a translation device. "We have heard how you destroyed those who sought to conquer you. We have come to determine if you intend the same for us." Sarah smiled gently. "Earth seeks neither conquest nor submission. We offer knowledge, trade, and friendship freely given and easily refused. Yet you are feared throughout the galaxy." "Sometimes fear is the shadow cast by respect," Sarah replied. "Humanity emerged from its trial by fire with a simple truth. The strong have a responsibility to protect, not dominate. We became feared because we had to. We used that fear to maintain peace." The alien delegation considered this. Finally, their leader spoke again. "We have studied your history since contact. You fight fiercely, yet rebuild generously. You advance quickly, yet share technology freely. You prepare for war while working tirelessly for peace." A gesture that translated as thoughtful acknowledgement. Perhaps being feared is not so terrible if it is also accompanied by being trusted. Sarah glanced out the viewport at the Earth below, scared but healing, transformed but still home. "That is all humanity has ever truly wanted," she said, "to be trusted enough to be allowed our place among the stars, and feared enough that we never lose it again." Throughout the galaxy, the reputation of Earth continued to grow. Humans became known as ferocious in battle but generous in peace, innovative in technology but ethical in its application, unwilling to start conflicts but unstoppable when defending themselves or their allies. They became, in the truest sense, the most feared species in the universe, not because of cruelty or aggression, but because they had demonstrated that determination and ingenuity could overcome any advantage, that apparent defeat could be transformed into victory, and that the will to survive could never be subjugated. And in that fear lay the foundation of the longest peace the galaxy had ever known.